All right. So from where we last left off, right, we entered our bill in recently, right? We just entered in the bill. If I click the previous button, shows me that I received a bill from a supply for the amount of $360. Okay. So now the next thing I'm going to do, again, we talked about this earlier, is that there is going to be the flow of transaction, which is going to be to pay your bills. So this is, again, you're going to be utilizing your pay bills option in order to reduce your accounts payable. Okay, this is your only way that you can make a connection between your accounts payable and your paying and actually paying your bill off. Again, if you choose to use the write a checks option, it does not correlate or associate any expenses or bills that you have incurred. So it's very important that you follow this flow of transaction and that you properly pay your bills. So of course, obviously, your first way to pay your bills is going to be on the home page using the pay bills icon, right? You can also go to the vendors menu and you can also pay your bills. You can use the icon bar, whether you're going to go to your bill tracker. So your bill tracker should allow you to pay your bills by right-clicking it. You can pay your bills. Or if you go to the vendor center, okay, so vendor center, okay, you can pay your bills using right-click, and you can pay your bill. Or you can click on the vendor and right-click and pay your bill. Okay, hold on. Or you can pay your bill by bill payment. Okay. And let's see. Yes, this one, enter bills, receive items. So there is nothing on for making a bill payment on the new transaction option. So that's the only one that you will not have. However, there is one more additional way you can pay your bill. All right, so let's go ahead and double click that bill that we just have. At the very top of your transactions list up here, boom, you can pay your bill too. Okay, so let's go ahead and review because that was a lot of options that we just talked about. So the first one is to pay your bill, is you can use your home page and go to pay your bill. Second way is you can go to vendors menu, pay your bill. Third way is going to either or the bill tracker or your vendor center. And once you reach your bill tracker, you can right click on the bill and pay it, right? There is no paying your bill off in the transaction. You have to right click and select pay. Okay, so that's the third way, right? Fourth way is actually going to the vendor center itself. Going to the vendor center itself and either right clicking on the vendor that you want to make a bill payment for and click pay bills, or select obviously the vendor, go down to manage transaction and pay a bill payment. Okay, or last one is just to double click the bill and click pay bill. Okay, so those are all the options that you can utilize the pay bill options. So since I'm already here, I'm going to go ahead and click that bill pay or pay bill. All right, and now you're going to get into this new window here. Now it's going to ask you to select obviously the bill that you want to pay for. And in this case, I'm going to select the one from a supply. Okay, so now if I look at the very bottom, when am I going to actually make the payment on? What does your books tell you? What day are you actually paying this bill on? Okay, your window that you should be looking at is on page 117.
310.
Does it say that we're paying on 310? It says payment date. That's the due date is 310.
February 10.
February 10. So here, this tells us that when is the bill due, when's the discount period. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select that we made the payment on the 10th of February. So that means we made the discount period. Okay, so you have a few sections that you want to look at when it comes to before making your bill payment. Okay, so here you have option 1 is to actually look at the bill and look at the bill in detail. So if I go ahead and do that, then it will show me exactly what my bill is. Other things is if you do receive that, if you have that terms, you can go ahead and select that discount. So here the terms was indeed 2%, 10. If not, then you pay the full thing in 30 days. Now, because it will automatically calculate the discount for you for $7.20. So I'm going to go ahead and select done. And what's going to happen is, you can click OK, yes. Discount account. I believe it is discount, sales discount, purchase discounts. And discount class. This is for Walnut Creek. And click done. So now it's going to apply that $7.20 to your actual invoice. So looking down here, obviously the top one's your bill. The bottom here is where it's going to tell you how much your actual payment is going to be made for. And here this is where you're going to also select any other things such as what kind of things that will you be printing the check now or printing them later? Because if you print it later, you won't assign the check number. So I'm going to select to be printed, right? Because I want to show you how to be able to print all 3 checks in one go. Again, so what kind of payment method? Again, it's going to be a check. And it's going to come right out of your checking account. So if you look carefully, the amount of check that you're going to write is going to be for the $360 minus the $7.20. So therefore, your check is going to be for the amount of $352.80. Okay? Once we verify that this is the bill, we received the discount because we paid in time, this is how much my check is going to be written out for. All right? And again, I selected that I'm not going to assign numbers just yet. It's going to be printed later. Checking account. Everything looks good. So you can go ahead and save and close. Now, once you do that, you're going to get a little window. Okay? Which kind of pretty much tells you this is what's pending. Okay? So here's your little transaction here. You made a payment to a supply. Okay, so what do you want to do? You want to print the check now, or do you want to print it later? And of course, if you choose to print it later, which that's what we did, right? Because you have the option right after you paid the bill. You gonna print it now, or you gonna print it later? And in this case, I'm gonna either pay more bills, either print my check, or I can say I am done and I'm verifying that this transaction is complete. And that's what I'm gonna do. So boom. All right. Now, of course, if I go back to, other places like my check register, it's going to also show me that I've made this bill payment. So, okay. So again, here, bill payment. Now let's look at the difference between my bill payment, me writing a random check, and then me using my debit card. Okay, so that's the difference. How you can recognize your different transactions is one, I use a debit, one I just paid, right? I use the check to pay. Here I use the check in the QuickBooks, and here I actually made a payment to a bill. So again, it also decreases your amount of money that you have. But if you notice this, let's go to the vendor center. If I were to click a supply, my balance that I owe a supply is now 0. Because let's look at my transaction. I paid him. There's a bill. I paid the bill. There's another bill, and I made the payment to the bill. So right now, my balance that I have for a supply is currently at 0. Okay? Because now I've made a payment, a bill payment, so now my accounts payable has decreased. All right? Any questions in regards to entering a bill and then paying the bill?
But we still need to print the check, right?
Correct, because there's one thing that we need to have, two things that we need to have. We need a check number and we need the signature.
That was my question, the check number, because the last one that we entered, it didn't have a check number.
Nope, and this is how you're going to do it. All right, so the next section is, now that we exercised and looked at all 3 things, now the next thing is, how do we print our checks? So again, of course, when we make our bill payments, right, you have that little option where you can print your checks. But, and if you ignore that, there's no other way that you can actually truly print your checks unless you go to File, and then you're going to go to Print, not Print Register, but Print Forms. And the second one is going to be your checks. So no matter whether you received that window or not and you want to print your checks right then and there, that's one option that you can do it. But that's only if you paid a bill on time. Now, or paid a bill. Now, if you can't ever get to that window again because you're not paying your bills, this is the very first option you're going to go. File, Print Forms, Checks. Okay? And here you go. So if I go ahead and pull up my checking account, okay, I should have 3 checks, not 2. Say that again?
I think the other one was debit.
No. I'm supposed to have one from Wong. I was supposed to have one from Wong and Son. But I guess because it's been way overdue. So, yes. So that's okay. For this example, I'll just show you what you can do here. Because I think the other one was that was overdue payment. That one was way long ago. So, maybe I should go ahead and just maybe click that one too. So I'm going to click cancel. And let me go ahead and add that check in there. So then we have it available. So I'm going to go to my... I'm going to go to my bill tracker, okay? So I see that I have 2 bills, and I've already paid one of them. If you see here, you could see that it's been changed, right? Saying that I still have $142 pending to pay, right? But my second one that I paid for, or actually I only have one, I don't know what I'm talking about, because I don't have that bill anymore. I don't owe it anymore. So, because I already made a payment to it. So this one here is the outstanding one I was talking about by Mr. Wong and Son. So I'm going to go ahead and click that one, and I'm going to go ahead and make a payment to it. All right. And of course, I've missed a lot of things here, but I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to write the check on February 10, 2019, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So everything looks good. Of course, I missed the discount period. And of course, I don't have any vendor credits. I'm writing a check. It's going to be printed, and it's going out of my check account. So I'm going to go ahead and get that beep of approval. And now here, I'm at that window again. So again, this is your second option, because this one doesn't appear until or unless you pay your bill. So again, I'm going to click done again. So now I'm going to go to file, print forms, and check. So now I have all 3 checks. Okay? Now, with this, you have the option. Are these all the bills you want to pay now? I can select them if I don't want them to be paid yet. And then here, it just says your account is now 0. So you need to select a check to pay. Now, of course, I plan to pay all of them. So again, make sure that you have the check mark. And it's going to give you a total of $3,680.94. Okay? And I'm going to make payments to all 3 of them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. All right, oh, actually, wait. Now it's going to ask me, well, what do I want to assign these numbers for? So this is where you can interchange it, Lynette. So, for example, if I'm going to have my first paycheck, right, or my first check to be issued out to one of these vendors, right, my 300s are my manual checks. I can't write them a manual check if I'm using QuickBooks to pay my bills for them. So I need to create a sequence number for this number to be printed on the paycheck, or not paycheck, the check. Okay, so this is they tell you to assign it as 6001. Okay, so these are going to be the checks that I physically write using QuickBooks, while my 300 numbers are my manual checkbook that I have, that I just walk around with and I pay people. Okay, so make sure you know the difference and you can recognize where the sequence numbers are coming from. So again, I want my first check number to be 6001, and what you're going to notice is that when you print out your checks, it's going to assign the next one in ascending order. So the next paycheck in the order that you receive in this list, it's going to associate it with the check number. So the first one's going to be 6001, next one 6002, the next one 6003. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So now here comes this window. How do you prefer to have your checks written? And what other things that you want to include? So again, there's different check styles, okay? There's voucher style, which allows you to have the very top a little bill or details in regard to the payment of the bill, all right? You have just the standard, checks in a list, or you have the wallet version. So if you've ever received an actual paycheck, it's the smaller size check. It's not the letter size check. Okay, they're a little smaller. And those are the wallet size ones. Okay, so again, those are your 3 options on what you can pick. Again, voucher style is more for, I would prefer the voucher style to be something that you pay your employees with, because it would have their pay stub at the top, and then right below it is, your voucher. You could rip your perforated thing that you could rip the check out of. So you have the details and you have your check. That's voucher style. Now, of course, we're paying 3 different vendors, and we're just gonna, once we print them out, we just cut them and send them, right? So in this case, I think it's best to just use standard style, okay? Now, there are things that you can have included, such as your company, you could print your company name and attach. So yeah, I'd like that. You can even use your company logo. So if I use my company logo, all right, I'm going to go ahead and let me see. I got to search it by going to the student portable files. Now, of course, this isn't going to be on the actual check per se, but because you are actually, you're the one that's printing them out from your computer, you're able to add these extra things, right? For example, like if you've had those checkbooks that you can have design on them, that's very similar to this concept here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and click this. So here you go. I want to print my logo on there. All right, okay, okay. So that's gonna appear at the maybe top corner of my actual paycheck. Okay. And then of course, the most very important thing is I need to have a signature. Okay. So again, you can either or, now there are options. If you have a tablet, you can go ahead and be able to use your mouse and be able to scribble in here. But that's only if you have a tablet. You can't use your physical mouse in here, so it's only if you have that kind of program. Okay? But if not, you can always you can always write your signature, scan it in, and that's what most companies do, is that they do that for most things, right? If you ever seen your paychecks, right? Your boss is not going to sit there and write sign every single check for that purpose, right? It's always a made signature, but it's going to be the one that, so this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking a made signature already, and I'm going to apply it onto the check just so it's verified. And oftentimes you may not be able to, find your boss in that day to even sign the check. So this is what most people do when it comes to making checks, and they cut the check. The most efficient way is to have the signature, make sure that you approve, of course, every transaction with your boss, and be able to do it. All right. Now, of course, with that being said, and that's it. And that's all you have to do. Make sure you set up your printer. Of course, they give you a couple warnings and stuff saying, oh, you need to set up your printer. Obviously, you need to make sure that you have the proper you put the paper in properly in your printer, and that you have the correct paper. Remember, it's the special check paper that you can either buy at the bank, or Intuit personally offers it as well. Of course, you have to pay. But yes, you have those options when it comes to there. So I'm going to go ahead and click print, and now it's going to tell me, okay, well, I need to save this file somewhere. Now, of course, for the sake of this class, I'm not going to waste my paper for this. So I'm just going to go ahead and cancel. Okay. But if you'd like to do it on your own, you may do so, just so that you can see what the check looks like. So I just canceled my checks to send out, but it should have the number 6001, etc., etc. Okay. So that is your option there. Okay. And that's how you print your checks. Right? Any questions in regards to printing your checks?
How about printing bank statements?
Say that again.
How about printing bank statements?
You cannot print your bank statements using QuickBooks. You have to go to you actually have to go to your actual bank website in order to print out your statement. Okay? Or you could go to your bank and actually request one for that. So, yes. And we'll talk about that when we move into bank reconciliation, which is next week, chapter 5. Okay? So, any other questions in regards to printing your checks? No. Okay, sorry if I'm making you guys dizzy. Here's printing checks. So we just covered this section here. So the next section I'm going to cover is going to be voiding checks. Now, voiding checks, you can oftentimes do that. It's, it's part of your business, but the one thing that you shouldn't do is delete your checks. Now, this is actually quite easy when it comes to this, but remember, if you are going to void a check using QuickBooks, your duty is to go and call the bank and make sure that they recognize that you are voiding a check, because ultimately if you don't connect your QuickBooks to your banking system, and we'll talk about that when we talk about bank feeds in chapter 5. No matter what it is and you're doing business, even if you have your bank feed set up, if you void a check on QuickBooks, no one's gonna know about it except for you. So make sure that you go to your bank and tell them, I voided this check. That's always very proper, okay? Because no one's gonna know. Now here, in this example, I believe we actually cancel out our Wong and Sun check. Is that right? Yes. So there are a couple options that you can do for voiding a check. All right. You can select it. Okay, so obviously when it's been printed and it's been sent already, then yes, you can void it then. But if you haven't printed it or you haven't even sent it, then you don't need to void it because you can revoke it and edit at any time. So in this case, I haven't sent it out, so I don't need to void. I can just click on it and make my adjustments to my check for whatever reason it is. Okay? But in this case, we're just thinking, let's just play pretend and say I sent that check out. All right? There are a couple ways that you could do this. You can right click on the transaction and you can click void the bill. Or void the printed check. Okay? Other way you could do it is you could go to your edit menu and you can void the check there too. All right. And of course, we're in our check register. So however you get to the check register, it's the same way. You're just going to right click and you're going to click void. So there's only two specific ways on how to void a check. And that's either you right click the transaction or you go to edit and you click void. So here, if I click void the check, you're going to notice that it's going to zero out the check and you have the word void on your actual thing. All right? Of course, if you void a check, you can't unvoid it. You just have to write a new check out. So in this case, I believe because this check is way past due, we need to, be charged a certain amount, and et cetera, et cetera. But that's how you void a check. It's very simple. You right click and you click void, or you go to edit and you click void check. All right? And again, if you void a check in QuickBooks, make sure that you let your bank know. And of course, you cannot delete your checks. That's a big no-no because that's considered, suspicion of fraud. Because if your checks all of a sudden go in a sequence and then boom, all of a sudden you have a missing number in your check, obviously that the first thing is what happened to that check. So it's best that you don't delete any checks or delete any transactions in QuickBooks. You want to keep a trail of your transactions even if you're just voiding a check. Sorry, go ahead, question?
Yeah, when you void a check, granted that you issued those three ones that you indicated, and has a corresponding check number, or do you have to, granted with Wong, it was a check number 6003, for example, voided it. So next time that you issue, it's going to be 6004. Next, you cannot reuse the same check number.
Absolutely not. You cannot reuse the same exact check number.
That's correct.
Yep, good. All right. Now, if for example, if you just need to see that check number on there, you can by obviously switching the to assign it instead of wait it for it to be printed. So for example, if I click this okay, okay. All right, there you go. Now my check has been voided. Okay, if I really needed to, right, I can click my Ace Supply, right? If I double click it, it will open up my check and I select that I'm going to assign a number. No, not print later, not pay online. There you go, right? And I assign this as 6001, right? And I go ahead and click save and close. Yes. So there is 601, okay? This one, of course, is supposed to be 602, right? Because I'm now assigning numbers. There you go. This is supposed to be 6002. Save and close. Yes. And granted that this is supposed to be this bill payment, right? Let's go ahead and double click it, right? So if you go here, the check, right, you get a big fat thing that says it has been voided. All right. So of course, check number is going to be 603, saying that you did print them and you did assign numbers and you did send them out. Then yes, now that you show a voided check here, you cannot reuse that check. All right? So you cannot reuse check number 6003 because one, you already printed it out. You already sent it out. It makes no sense that you would have the same exact check number, right? It's very similar to Coffee Cafe, if you guys remember way back when you wrote a wrong check, you had to void it and write a brand new check. And that's general rule of thumb too. If you void a check, you need to write a new one. Okay, so here, the check number 603, it shows that it's been voided. You refunded your money, so it's been updated. And yes, and it tells you here that this is check number 6003, and it's been voided. All right. Okay, so I think, let's see what we have left to do. Okay, so of applying vendor credits, so let me see how much time we have. Okay, perfect. So applying vendor credits. So of course, what happens when vendor credits are issued? Okay, it's either because you made a purchase order and when you made a purchase order, you decide to say, I don't need it anymore. I want a refund. That is one thing. Second thing is, what if they shipped you too many items? You need to, or if they charged you too less. Either way, you need to communicate with your vendor that there's something not right. Now, how vendor credits work is, okay, you can have it either refunded to your account, so they give you back the money, or you can have it applied to the invoice, right? And we'll talk about what you can do with vendor credits because there are 3 exact options that you can do. Now that I voided my check here, so let's go ahead and first start by creating a bill for Nellis Distributing, okay, for custom framing materials, okay? So let's go ahead and enter that in. So now, quiz question here. How do I enter in a bill?
Homepage. Click the enter bills.
Okay. What's another way?
Vendors.
Vendors.
And then icon.
The icon. Where? Either bill tracker.
Bill tracker or the vendor.
Good.
Vendors.
Yes, vendors. Okay. What happens if I'm in the vendor center? You can click on the vendor,
and then select your
Right click.
right click,
vendor, right click,
okay?
enter those, and then the other one is highlight the vendor,
Okay.
and then right click.
Oh, we already did the right click.
Vendor, right click, select the vendor name. Select the vendor, manage transaction.
Manage transaction,
And
bills.
then bills.
And then there's one more.
Menu bar,
Menu bar, we already explored the menu bar.
homepage, bill teller, vendor, menu bar. Let's get 1, 2, 3,
This
4,
no.
5, 6. Double click the bill. Wait, wait. No, 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 no.
That's to pay a bill.
What are your bill? How come I only have 6? 2 on the vendor center. Then 2.
There's 3 on the total for vendor center for entering a bill. For paying a bill, there's only 2. Anybody else?
Bill tracker.
Not okay. We already explored bill tracker.
What did you get?
Banking? No.
Not banking, nope.
Homepage, bill tracker, menu bar, the vendor center, and then the 2. Oh, I have only 5. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Right click and enter bill.
Customer.
That one is we already explored. Right click, enter a bill. We did manage transaction, enter a bill. There's one more.
Vendor center.
We are at the vendor center. All right, I'll give you a hint. What's up there?
Active vendor?
No.
Yeah, but you said doesn't go through. When you
That's
click on the
for
vendor at the up, on the menu there, what says vendor?
New transactions.
new transactions, enter bill. Oh, you could pay your bills.
Oh, new transactions. Okay.
Yep.
I only have 5 new transactions.
Okay, so vendor center, there's 3 ways you can enter in. You got new transactions at the top. You got right click and on that specific person, and then you also have click on that person and click manage transactions. So there's 3 things that you can do, 3 ways you can enter in a bill. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and enter a bill using new transactions. So again, I believe not National Bank, but it was Nellis Distributing. Okay, and now that we verified it's Nellis, boom, there goes all of his information. Any other piece of information that I can recognize here? We're buying photo supplies, photo materials. Okay, click on enter bills icon. Okay, so this one, so we're gonna look at this. We have custom frames. What does that say? Custom frames for Bob Mason job.
Custom framing materials. Custom framing material for Bob Mason job.
Okay, good. So it's a cost of goods sold, custom frames, and this is for $300. Okay, so okay, for Bob Mason job. All right, so again, this isn't this. This is going to be cost of goods sold. Okay, that's good. And it's for $300. So you can either type it there or you can type it up here. Either or. Okay. And then what else does it say? Custom frame materials, Bob Mason. And it's for San Jose location. custom frame. Bob Mason, and it is for San Jose. All right. And the date and the reference number, do we have one? Date is going to be for the 17th of February, and here, I can't read that. Is that 50?
5088.
Okay. So the 17th of February, and it is reference 5088. Okay? Yes.
So when you are inputting that, say on the bottom part where you were putting the cost of goods and things like that, it does not pick up that information on the memo.
No.
You have to input it
Yeah.
separately.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so that's one of the things about the QuickBooks is not everything is going to look the same. It's not going to pick up anything just because this is a custom field so therefore that means you can interchange. Like, it doesn't have to be custom frames. I could say, wooden frame, steel parts, nails, things like that, right? I can make my memo whatever I'd like. So that's one of the things about memos is you can enter in anything. Right? So I'm gonna go ahead and save and close. All right? So now that I got that beep of approval, now it's saying that Mr. Bob Mason, what did he do? Okay? So the next one's going to be bank bill. Okay, select the credit menu. Okay. And what happened here? So Mr. Bob decided that he, no longer needs the custom frames or $25. Okay, for the custom vendor. So purchase discount. So we received a purchase discount. Okay. For Mason Bob, for the San Jose location, for the custom frames. So there are a couple ways you can actually do a vendor credit. Okay. Just let's go ahead and explore the first one. So the first one is going to be on the home page. Come on, home page. Okay. Now, this is confusing because this is considered entering bills. But if you actually click on enter bills, you see that at the very top here, it gives you an option to do a credit. And that's one way of doing a vendor credit. And then I'll tell you again, when you complete this, it's going to give you options on what you want to do with that credit. So before I go ahead and do that, I'm going to show you the other ways that you can do this as well. If you go to the vendor center, you'd be able to, create a vendor credit when I find the option. So purchase list, pay bills, sales tax. Okay, so vendor center. So you go to vendor center. Let's say it was for Nellis, right? If you right click Nellis, he has the option to create a vendor credit, a bill credit. Enter credit card. Where is it? Receive items, enter bill receiving for it. Yeah. Make vendor inactive, edit or multiple. Huh, that's strange. New vendor, edit vendor. You should be able to create a credit. Create credit card charges, create purchase order, receive items. No, I don't see it. You should be able to do it. It's not under pay bills, no. But let's go ahead and go click the bill. And here you have check split, enter. recalculate. That's so weird. You should be able to create a vendor credit using the vendor center because you're dealing with your vendor. So not sure why it's not there. Okay, but I guess the only way you could do it is using the enter bills option and click on credit. Okay?
Right now, it's just only one step, just to go with the home page.
There should be more. I don't know why they don't have it, but I remember it. They should have it. They should have it. Create a credit. Let me see. That might apply for customers creating a credit, but in this case, it's just only a home page. Home page, enter bills, and you select the credit. Okay. So here again, Nellis Distributing, and we got a discount, a purchase discount. Okay, so we're not refunding this. We're receiving a discount. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and select our account name, and this is purchase discounts. Purchase discounts. Here you go. And I believe the purchase discounts was for $25. Okay, on the custom frames, we're on a credit, not this. So make sure that you fix it up here because that's where it's going to recognize it. So again, custom framing for Bob Mason. Okay, yes, San Jose. So we've done that. Now let's see, when did we receive this discount? We received it 2 days after. Okay, 2 days after, and 2 days after. So let me select the 19. And one thing that you should do too is you want to make sure that this is associated to the same exact bill. But one way to recognize it is to enter in the letter C for credit. Okay? Now that I've created my credit, everything looks good. It's for $25. And I go ahead and click Save and Close. Now it's going to give you this option and you say yes. Now you have your credit here. All right, so if I go into this credit, right, there are things that I can do with this credit. I can either apply it to the actual invoice, or I can actually, so here it is here. So let's, for example, I go ahead and I pay this bill. Okay, hold on, let me go to the bill. Oh, did I edit? Oh, shoot. I think I edit the bill by accident. Okay, so I have to go back and do this again. So go back to bill. Make sure everything is correct. This is 300. All right, sorry about that, guys. I accidentally edited the bill when I was actually only supposed to create 88. This is on the 17. Okay. Bob Mason. Okay, so save and close. Yes. All right, so I'm going to go exit out of this and go to my home page, enter bills, and edit right? Do my credit, and I'm going to do it for Nellis. Nellis Distributing. All right. This is the discount. Oh, shoot, I forgot to change the account too. Okay, let me go here. And previous bill. Yes. Previous bill. I forgot to edit the account. No. So let's go back to that bill. Okay, this is supposed to be cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold. Good. All right, save changes. All right, so again, now I'm gonna go, see, you should be able to create one. So here, this, we're gonna start all over again. So credit, Nellis, distributing, it's for a purchase discount. For amount of $25, memo on the custom materials. All right, Bob Mason. And San Jose. All right, and of course the date is going to be the 19th. This says 588C for credit, and it's for $25. Okay, everything looks good. Save and close. Now, if I actually go to my vendor center again, you're gonna notice that your listed transaction for Nellis is that you have a bill and you have a credit. So now that I am here, right, I'm gonna go ahead and pay for this bill. So when I click bill pay, so here I'm gonna select it, right? Now my options I have here is okay, so first off, I have my option to view my bill. My second option is to view any discounts. In this case, this vendor did not give me any terms. However, we have a vendor credit. So now I'm going to go ahead and view the credits, and here I have one for $25. All right, so it's already been selected, so I'm going to go ahead and click done. Now that's going to apply to the bill, and see, so I started with $300. I have a $25 credit, and now my bill, my check that I'm going to pay is for $275. All right, and of course I'm going to pay this on I think the same day. You pay on the 19th. Checking again if I want to assign a number. Okay, so there you go. And here is to my checking, and I'm going to click save and close. So here tells you how do you want to assign the check numbers. Again, I want this check number to be 6004, because remember that's what we have for our QuickBooks checkbook is going to be 6004. All right, and then click OK. So once you get that beep of approval, now here again you have that little window that says, well, would you like to pay more bills? Would you like, or yeah, since it's already been printed, you click done. Okay. Now, again, I get this little green little icon on here saying this bill has been paid. So if I go ahead and go back to my vendor center, right? So back to my home page, back to my vendor center, I click Nellis. Now my bill is here, my credit is here, and I have a bill payment done. Okay? So that's how you utilize your vendor credits. All right. So there's a lot of things that you can do. So other options is that if you do request for a refund, then it's going to be considered the same thing as a credit. Okay, you're going to receive a vendor credit, and it will give you 3 options, whether you want to apply it to the invoice, be written a check to be refunded, or use it for a future purchase. Okay, and we'll talk more about that when we do it for our customers. Okay, so it's very similar in that aspect. Okay. All right, so the next section here is going to be tracking company credit cards. This is straightforward. If you know how to enter in a check, it is the same thing. Okay, so except this one, again, of course, if you're trying to keep track of your books properly and you're trying to make expenses and stuff, it's the same thing as entering in or filling in the write a checks window, right? You have the option is to enter credit card transaction on the home page, or you can go to banking on your menu bar, and you'd be able to use credit card. Enter in credit card right here. Charges. Okay. Now, again, those are the two options. I believe you have one also on your bill tracker, because yes, you can pay bills using your credit card, but you know, all right, so same thing. If you click this on the home page, obviously you're going to have a list of how many credit cards you own. So in this case, I only have one. But if you own multiple credit cards for your company, I don't know if they allow that. I believe you can only have maximum of 2. Then you can go ahead and toggle it here on what transactions you want to place. So again, straightforward. Everything will look identical to writing to using the write a check option. So yes, you can put whatever for whatever reasons that you use a credit card to spend for. So I'm not going to go into too much details because it's essentially the same thing as using your credit card. And let's see. Okay. But I do, believe that there is another way that you can go into your credit card transactions. So here, this is you entering in your credit card transactions. But where in the world will you be able to find where your list is? How are you going to pay your credit card? And that is exactly why it is important for you to know that this too has a register. All right. Now, obviously, you're not going to find it by going to your banking and being able to find it by using your home page and going to your check register. It's not going to exist there. There's only one other way that you can look for it, and that's going to be in your chart of accounts. And you're going to open up your credit card because it is a liability, of course. Let's look up for your National Bank credit card, Visa credit card. You could double click, and that is where you're going to find all of your credit card transactions. So in this case, the very first one I see is I made a payment and paid my entire credit card bill off. It's been done. Paid for. I have my check right there. So I paid for the whole entire thing. Okay? So very, very similar. You make a credit card transaction. Obviously, you're going to receive a bill. And when you receive that bill, it's going to give you all the information on how much interest you've collected, etc., etc. And once you do that, then you're mandatory to just pay your credit card off. So again, there are many ways that you can do it, but go ahead and just read it. And if you have questions, I can answer it tomorrow. Just because we only have a couple more minutes left. All right. But again, straightforward. It's very similar. It's same thing. You guys understand how credit cards work. So, no, I don't want to exit. So again, that is entering a credit card transaction. Okay. You enter them here. But to actually see them is through your chart of accounts. You cannot use the check register to look for it. Okay? And then again, making payments is pretty straightforward. All right. Let's see. We did void checks. We did credit card transactions. We did vendor credits. Now, next is going to be your reports that you can do for your for this. So again, read this so you understand how to enter in a credit card transaction and how to pay for it. So now we're going to do accounts payable reports. So there are a few things that you can do. As we know that QuickBooks has 150 plus industry-specific reports, right? Now, what does these reports even mean? It's pretty much any details into any transaction that has occurred in QuickBooks. So you know, if you have vendors, then you can check out how much they owe you. If you're doing accounts payable specifically, right? You could see what items that they owed you for, what purchases they've made, right? So that's what these reports do. So for example, the first report that they tell you to do is to go look at a vendor and look at their payables. And the first thing that they want you to see is they want to see the vendor balance summary. So again, once I click this, of course, it says that right now, I have one outstanding balance, which is true, right? We paid our bills already. The only thing that we have for a vendor that I owe is going to be Wong and Son, because we voided their check. So this is accurate information. Now, of course, you can toggle the date here to see a specific date. But of course, you're not going to be able to see everything because this is just looking at who owes you right now as of all transactions, right? You can pick a specific date if you'd like. So again, we only have Wong who owes us money. Okay? So other things that you can do is if we go to vendors and payables, you have obviously in accounts payable aging, you have unpaid bills details. You have accounts payable graphs that you can draw to, or you can have QuickBooks create for you. You have transaction lists by vendors, so we could check that out. So here, nothing here, but I'm going to go ahead and change this to not this month, but to all vendors. And here you go. I populated every single bill and every single item that I've created for this account. So here you go. Here you go for A Supply. I received a bill. I got a vendor credit for it, and I received a bill and I wrote a check for it. Okay. Bay Office Supply, which is the first thing I did, right, for office supplies. I wrote a check to them. Okay. National Bank, of course, I wrote a check to them. Nellis, here's my check, bill, and etc. So it's pretty much they give you details on every single thing that has happened in regards to this. And this is very important, especially when you're measuring profitability. But again, reports are based on what kind of information you are looking for that's pertinent to your field or your position. Okay, so for example, a sales representative would not be looking into what items your vendors are paid or what items that you're buying from other vendors. They're going to be more focused on the sales aspect. So again, this is for people who are inventory managers or people who are just in charge of paying accounts payable people, right? People who are in charge of just making payments in general, okay? So that is what this can be useful for, all right? And again, each report that you do, again, kind of explains exactly what you're looking for. So again, the first one I showed you was the vendor balance. It shows you, well, who currently owes you right now. Okay, so this one that I just selected pretty much tells me a description of all the transactions that occurred amongst all of my vendors. Okay, and the great thing too is I'm able to actually hide some of these too, or expand them by this little triangle here. Okay. But of course, you can't expand your vendors, all right? But as you notice, my vendor list, it's only listed the things that I've actually made transactions with. My vendor list is way longer than these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that I see. My vendor list is pretty long, but it's only for transactions that occurred with this specific vendor. Okay, so as you can see, if I do all transactions with all vendors, then it will show me this. Now, I can also break it down to just maybe this month. maybe 2 weeks, maybe today. So if I click this month, obviously it's going to ask me for the month of November. No. Let's go ahead and take a look at, if I just want to look at the transactions that I had in February 2019. So you can be very specific. So I want it from the 1st of February to the let's see. I don't remember if February had that many days or not. So 2019, they had 28 days. All right, and if I were to do that, I notice that there's nothing here, which is weird. There should be a lot of transactions here. Oh, of course. I need to also refresh it. There you go. So there you go. Now I see only 3 people that I dealt with. Again, I dealt with Ace Supply, Bay Office, and Nellis, and Orlando Properties. These are all my transactions that happened during February, and this is what I did. Okay, so yes, you could be very specific on these type of reports. Okay, and I will obviously I won't cover every single report in here, but I encourage you to explore, because each one again is specific to exactly what you're targeting. What is the question that is you are trying to ask or answer? I'm sorry. So again, all of these are going to be useful depending on what position you are in the company. All right. And yep. And Bill Tracker again. I've talked about to you guys what Bill Tracker is. This should be actually one of the first things that should be in part of the chapter, because again, Bill Tracker is most important because it gives you a list of all the bills that you owe, and it lets you know how much you owe, which ones are overdue, and etc., etc. Okay, so again, I'll go ahead and show you that there are a couple ways that you can get to Bill Tracker, right? You can go to Bill Tracker, obviously, using the icon bar. You don't have this option on the home page, okay? No Bill Tracker is going to exist on your home page. It's an additional icon that does not exist when it comes to actual transactions. So that's why it's new to 2018. So again, you have the Bill Tracker, right? It doesn't exist on the home page, but it does exist on the icon bar. It also exists if you go to the menu bar for vendors, Bill Tracker here, and if you go to obviously the vendor center, you have it up here as well, Bill Tracker. Okay, so again, this key is pretty useful in regards to this because you can set up reminders for bills that are pending, but then this also gives you a list of all of your outstanding bills up to date, right? So here, I only have one left, right? It gives you all the transactions in one glance. So instead of having to go to the vendor center and looking at all their account balances, you have it listed out with each individual bill that you can see, right? All here, it tells you how much money you owe in general, how much are overdue, and how much you actually paid. Okay, so in this case, I only have one, and I'm good to go. Right? That's Bill Tracker for you. Any questions in regards to anything that we learned? Again, today was a very, very long lesson, and today's Monday. Any questions in regards to anything we learned today?
No.
Okay. All right. If not, we have a spare couple minutes, so let's go ahead and do the review questions. So, number 1, okay? You may record payments to your vendor by
All of them.
D. All of the above is correct, right? Yes, you can make a payment by recording a manual check. Yes, you can make a payment using write a checks option. And of course, you can definitely or pay a bill by using the pay bill option. So yes, D, all of the above is true. Number 2, To display the vendor center,
D.
or A, either. It's D.
yes. All of these are correct pathways to get to the vendor center, right? We talked about it. Homepage. The top three ones is going to be homepage, icon bar, and menu bar. And that's what this whole entire thing lists. Okay. Number 3, you can add a vendor when.
D.
D.
Anytime.
Yes. There is no requirement, limitations, or anything on when you can have a vendor. So you can have a vendor at any time. Good. Number 4, okay, which statement is true?
A.
I selected A.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
B.
So we got a couple A's and we got a couple B and we got a B
Which statement is true?
A.
and we got a C. Okay. All right. Well, the answer is A. Okay, because think about it. Let's go ahead and observe what's true and what's not true. So A, QuickBooks records each bill payment in the bank account register. Okay, for credit cards, accounts, okay, register, okay, and the accounts payable register. Okay, okay, okay. Let's move on to B, C, and D to see which one's more true. Okay, so B says that bill payments increase the balance in both checking and accounts payable. Is that true? When you make a bill payment, are you increasing your checking account?
No, decreasing.
You're decreasing, right? But are you also increasing accounts payable?
No.
No. So that one's completely false as is, okay? And then number 3 says you should assign jobs to all discounts taken. No, you don't need to assign every single job to anybody because, again, you may have customers that you don't even know. So, yeah, no, you don't need to assign jobs for everything. It's only if it's a circumstance where you are taking it upon yourself to either take the job or not. D, you cannot make partial payments on a bill.
You can.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Oftentimes, right? Maybe you just don't have enough money. You can pay them for now a certain amount, and you can always pay another check within the same period. Okay, so yes, you can always make partial payments. So A is your only option that is true. All right, number 5, last but not least. Okay, which QuickBooks feature allows you to separate your income and expenses by either business departments, location, profit centers, and any other meaningful.
Class tracking.
Centered, right?
Say that
Class
again.
tracking. B.
So
Class
B.
tracking.
B is correct. Yes, job costing is specific to a person. Okay. Customer types, obviously, we didn't talk about that. And vendor types, we didn't talk about that either. So, class tracking is correct. All right. Good job, everybody. So, again, if we have time on next week, I'll dedicate one of the days to go ahead and go over the examples that we have in class. And we're going to review for the exam. Okay, so next week, again, most likely Wednesday, because chapter 5 and chapter 6 are pretty short. So that's going to be all crammed in one day. All right, so if you guys don't have any questions, you guys are free to go. Tonight, all you have to do is start reading chapter 2. We're going to be talking about the sales process and what do we do with our customers. So thank you guys and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Have a good day. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Lynn. Bye.